The COYGIG Pod on OTB Sports, in association with Cadbury. A player and a half deserves a glass and a half of support.
Top pocket goal!
It's what dreams are made of.
They are going to the World Cup Finals!
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the COYGIG podcast. Kathleen McNamee here with you back in Dublin, very, very sadly. But the weather hasn't been too bad since I've returned. I've been told it's been raining for the last month and I haven't seen a drop of rain yet, which is very good. I am joined by Emma Byrne, as always, to look ahead to the round of 16 and also react to some of the fixtures that happened in recent days, particularly Germany getting knocked out yesterday. Emma, what was your reaction whenever those games finished up? I mean, watching the Moroccan players see that final result in the middle of the pitch, just like all crowded around someone's phone, it was incredible.
Yeah, it was just, I mean, I was in shock. I was in shock because, I just figured Germany were going to score. They always do, even if it's the last minute, they always manage to get the result they need. But then as the time went on and the extra time was just ridiculous. I mean, it was 12 minutes or something like that.
I think it was even more. It was like
crazy.
Close to like 14, 15.
It's nuts. Very emotional, to be quite honest. And then when Morocco were celebrating their win, I was like, what are you doing? Stop celebrating. Wait for the other result. And then I was thinking, well, they're celebrating the win either way. It was such a monumental win for them as well. And then, of course, just seeing them when they actually got the result, knowing that they were through, it was just incredible. I mean, it's just been a really emotional World Cup in general. I love it. I can't wait for tomorrow. I don't want a day off.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I just want the group stages to keep going and going. Like, I mean, we've had the 3 African nations all qualifying. We have debutantes going through for the first time ever. You have like massive countries like Canada, Brazil, Germany all crashing out at this stage. The US very, very nearly didn't get through, like by the skin of their teeth managed it. Has this been one of the best group stages ever, do you think, of the World Cup?
Yeah. Absolutely, for sure, 100%. The standard has just been the best so far. Like every single game has been decent quality football, and you can't call it. Like I was doing comms the other day, and I was like, well, the winner is going to get Sweden, and the runners up are going to get Italy, and comms were in my ear. It's not it. You don't know if it's Italy. We don't know yet. And I was like, well, probably Italy. And then I was thinking, no, actually, we haven't got a clue. We don't know who's going to go through. You really can't call it. And South Africa went through in the end. But I mean, that's what you want. You want that. And I just think it's a great showcase for women's football. And, finally, even for Panama to score 3 goals against France, like I know they were beaten in the end, but it's incredible. Like it's something that they'll never, ever forget. And it's just brilliant. Yeah, really enjoying it.
Yeah, I was watching that one on the plane and I was like trying to stop myself, just like jumping out of my seat in general delight at the whole thing. So it was so entertaining. And it kind of puts a different spin or perspective to a certain extent on our World Cup. Because when people are like, oh, we did the best we could, you also look at those countries that have done really, really well in the context of their group, and you're like, if only we could have had like those 3 goals or that moment where we maybe were close to qualifying or had a little bit more of those bigger moments in the tournament. It would have been kind of nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so proud of the girls. I think they did absolutely brilliant, and they fought gallantly. And I don't fault anything they do, but I look at the other teams as well. Even the teams that we would probably beat, I'd hope we'd beat, like the likes of Haiti, the likes of Panama, the likes of the Philippines. They still have this great chance of scoring. Like they've really quick, powerful players. They create really good chances, and they look like they can score at any moment. And that's something I think, we, Ireland, need to work at. We need to create more chances. We need to be more aggressive going forward. Like you see these teams playing and they play with no fear. They commit players forward. And that's how football is going. Women's football is going like that. The powerful forwards, the quick forwards and committing players. Yes, you might concede 6 goals. Obviously, that's not great. But you're creating chances. And that's what I want to see from Ireland. And I think we can do that. And I think they showed it in the Nigeria game, which I think is really, really positive, even though we could have won and maybe we are disappointed. I think the main thing to take out of that game is that we can press forward, we can be aggressive in attack. So that was really positive for me, and definitely motivating to see all these smaller teams and how they're playing and how they're progressing. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And the Irish team, of course, had their homecoming last night. We got to see Emma Byrne singing The Wild Rover live on stage. Vera Pauw doing a bit of a jig, which is something I never thought I would say in my life on stage. And apparently there was 8,000 people there, which is quite a lot of people to turn up and see the team, which is very, very good to see. For anyone who hasn't caught the round of 16 fixtures, just to run through them kind of quickly. So tomorrow we have Switzerland, Spain, Japan, and Norway. Then on Sunday, Netherlands, South Africa, Sweden, United States, which is a very tasty tie. Monday it's England, Nigeria, Australia, and Denmark. And then on Tuesday, Colombia, Jamaica, France, Morocco. Emma, out of all those fixtures, is there one in particular or a couple in particular that you're looking forward to seeing?
All of them. I mean, that's what's so good about this World Cup. I can't wait. All of them. They're all going to be really interesting. Japan, Norway, I think is going to be a really interesting game. Considering how Japan set up against Spain, I can't see them setting up like that against Norway. So, and they just fascinate. Their tactics are so good. I just really enjoy watching Japan and see how they execute the tactics. So I think they're going to set up a little bit differently than they did again. I'm still waiting for USA to get into that second gear, and I think they will. Like, there's a lot of stuff in the media about how they're underperforming, how, you know, they could have been gone home. But in the end, they have the players, they have the quality. I'm just waiting for it to kick in. They might be late bloomers in this tournament, so I think it's going to be a difficult game for Sweden. Even though on paper it shouldn't be, how the USA have been performing, I still think it's going to be a good one. And then I'm looking forward to England, Nigeria, because Nigeria, they just cause a different threat than other teams. You know, they're just so direct. They'll always win the physical battle. So I'm looking forward to seeing how England deal with that. I think that's going to be a really good game as well.
Positive news this morning as well from the England camp that Kira Walsh is training, not with the full squad just yet, but she is training by herself. So hopefully we might get to see her at some stage later on the tournament if they do get past Nigeria. Said there about like the US and Sweden, like obviously this is a tie we've seen many times before. It's two big juggernauts going up against each other. US haven't been firing on all fronts. I was talking to some of the people that have been covering this US team for a while, and like, I don't know, like even when I worked at ESPN, there was this feeling that this US team wasn't being set up in the way that they should, and the younger talent wasn't being kind of brought through in the way it should be. What do you think about the way they've gone about the tournament so far? Because you can't deny the talent that is in that team.
No, I just think the rest of the world has caught up. That's it. And I think with the same with Germany. We're talking about physical, athletic teams, and everybody's physical and athletic up with them. And I don't think they have much else to offer. And I think they're struggling with that. Like the ballers, you have Lavelle, Rapinoe, and Tobin Heath, who's previous player or former player. Those were the footballers. Those were the ones that could unlock and open up defenses. The other teams, like the other players, like Alex Morgan, yeah, but you know, and great finishers. They're very, very good at finishing when they get the opportunities, but they're not creating those opportunities. And I think if a team can match them physically, I mean, look what South Korea did to Germany yesterday. They just matched them physically and had Simon just to mark Alex Pop in the air. They've nothing else. these big teams, the rest of the world are catching, and it's as simple as that, and they can't seem to find the plan B. And they can't find the pockets in between the lines because they struggle with those really clever footballers. So yeah, I just think it's going to be a transition time for them, back to the drawing board for them. But I still think we're going to see more from the US. I still don't think we've seen them yet. They're very, very ambitious. They're very competitive. Like, this will be keeping those players awake at night. I think we might see it against Sweden. So watch out for them.
Yeah, I feel like with the US, they're especially kind of like a big tournament knockout sort of team. And even if they're not performing well, they can kind of pull it out of the bag at these sort of stages. Although I'm also hesitant to say absolutely anything, since I tipped Germany to be one of the teams that could possibly win the whole thing, and now they're no longer in the competition. So maybe I shouldn't be making any predictions anymore. What about Spain?
Well, I tipped Brazil.
Well, that does actually make me feel a lot better, the fact that you tipped Brazil. Emma, what about Spain? Like, we saw them in their final game have a really difficult time, but now they're facing Switzerland, which is a team you would kind of expect them to be able to handle okay.
Yeah, I think they will. I think they're very, very lucky to get Switzerland. And no disrespect to Switzerland, they're a decent team, but Spain are under pressure. They're under pressure. They need to do better. I don't think we're going to see the same backline as we've seen against Japan. And it's strange to be saying this far into a tournament, but changing your team at this stage, trying to change your team to find your best team, I mean, you'd have to look at the manager in this case. You really would.
Well, do you think, like, with Vilda, is the fact that he doesn't have the players available to him that he would expect to have available to him, that he's kind of not able to suss out what the team is? Or do you think it's directly him as a manager struggling?
No, look, we don't know if he had his tactics right and the girls just didn't execute it well. But I have to say, watching Japan, which I'm sure they did their research, they had to have had, and if they hadn't, I don't know what's going on. But looking at Japan, they played the two previous games basically preparing for Spain, I believe. They were playing all balls in behind the back lines of the two games previously, which we haven't seen that much from Japan. They're such a technical team that they normally play short passes and they move up the pitch together, but they're playing long passes. And I thought it was really strange. I was like, this is strange from Japan, but they're great passes in, like they're brilliant balls. So I was like, this is for Spain. They want to get in behind Spain. They want to catch Spain as they should in the counter, catch them off guard as they press forward. It was a great tactic. But if I'm the Spain manager, I'm like, okay, as soon as we lose, they've got one player up front. We've got two defenders at the back. Surely we can manage that one player in front and one player behind. That's it. It's not a difficult thing to do. They got caught every single time that ball went forward. And I don't know whether they just hadn't communicated that, they hadn't set up for that. Or for me, a keeper, I'm always going to be organising my defence so that doesn't happen. So I don't know whether Misa Rodriguez was looking to her defenders, but it was basically major mistakes from the Spain backline. And as I said, I'd be surprised if we see the same backline against Switzerland. Because if I were Switzerland, that's all I do. I just keep pumping in behind them because they're really dodgy.
Yeah, well, that's what a lot of people have been saying. Like, even if you look at the reaction after their last group stages game, everyone was saying, the Spanish team is very, very good, but they have like very clear and obvious holes in their backline. And what can they do to actually make sure that they don't fall to the same sort of results that they did in their final group stage game? So it'll be very interesting to see if I am up at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning to watch it, how they manage to fare against Switzerland. One of the ties that we probably didn't expect to see in this stage is Colombia versus Jamaica. I feel like a lot of Irish eyes have been on Colombia after that game against them before the tournament started, where it was aborted after about 20 minutes. What can people take, I suppose, from the success of even a country like Jamaica, who had like serious issues with their federation coming into the tournament, had to crowdfund to get over here in the first place, and here they are in the knockout stages playing Colombia, which is a game that could really go either way. I suppose you probably expect Colombia to do, but you never know.
No, again, we've no idea. I mean, again, it's just another lovely emotional story from Jamaica, like the fact that they had to do so much to get there and you know, basically fund it themselves or ask the public to fund it. And then to keep 3 clean sheets, which is incredible, you know, considering the group they had. So delighted for that. Got a little bit emotional there as well. Delighted for the players because, you know, I'd played with a couple of them at Arsenal and they're really good girls and worked hard, and you know, there's no way they would have thought they were going to be in the last 16. Like, this is a surprise. So I had to text Rebecca Spencer and go, and I was like, this is incredible, Becky, 3 clean sheets. And, you know, she had to wait a long time to get recognition because, unfortunately, she had to sit in the bench for me for so many years. And then it wasn't until late in her career that she decided to move. So I'm really happy for her because she's worked so hard to get there. But I mean, yeah, it's a difficult one to call because Colombia were incredible the first 2 games, and then they dropped off a little bit. I mean, that level of energy needed has to fade away at some stage. And the third game, I think we saw a lot of teams who were playing that high press and playing that high energy transitional game. You could see they were a little bit tired in the third game. So I think this break will definitely do them the world of good. And I think we're going to see the Colombia we've seen in the first 2 games. So I would expect Colombia to beat Jamaica. They've got some great players, and Lacey Santos is starting to come on and get more minutes, and she's an incredible player for Colombia. So I'd imagine we'd see her play. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting game, but I do think Colombia will come out the winners there.
And then we have the host Australia
facing... But who knows, when you've got Bunny Shaw, anything can happen.
Who knows? I mean, one of the great players of the game, and I mean, a pity about the fact we didn't get to see her completely for the entire group stages, but someone that we enjoy watching a lot in the WSL. The host Australia facing Denmark. They came through after that epic game against Canada, which I don't think anyone expected them to score 4 goals against the Olympic champions. Against Denmark, what are you feeling out of this one? Again, another one I feel like it could go either way.
I think I'd be I know I'm going to say Australia, like looking how they played again against Ireland and against Nigeria. It sounds a bit silly to say, but I do think Australia have hit their form. You know, Sam Kerr's a massive player for them, like on the pitch and just mentally as well. And I think Denmark, they wouldn't be as resilient defensively. So I do think Australia are going to pip this one and they're going to come out on top. However, having said that, with Pernille Harder playing, Australia's backline, they aren't the quickest. So I think those balls into Pernille Harder from midfield are going to be really dangerous. It just depends on whether they can do that, whether the Danes in midfield can get on the ball, which I think they're going to find difficult. So yeah, I'm going to say Australia for that one.
And so looking at the round of 16 overall, do you think we're going to see any surprises based on what we've seen in the group stages? I mean, with the way the group stages went, you could kind of say that anything could happen, but is there any team in particular that you think might throw up a bit of a shock or a bit of interest?
No, I don't actually. I think this is where we're going to see the teams that we would consider the titans of the game. This is where they're going to kick into gear, and this is where their mentality will get them through. I think it's going to be Spain. Japan, Norway is difficult to call. It should be Japan. But, you know, Japan are a team that you look at them and they can be absolutely incredible, and just you can see that they're playing and they're executing exactly what the plan is. But when you're playing against Norway, who have a lot of weaknesses too, perhaps Japan will try to go for it and leave a few gaps. So it's really difficult to call that one, actually. I am going to say Japan just because I really want them to win as well. But that could be a bit of an upset. That could be the upset. Netherlands, I think, will beat South Africa, and I think it's going to be USA. I think England will beat Nigeria, although I think it's going to be tough for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to be Colombia and France.
Okay, so, and then Spain, obviously, versus Switzerland?
Yeah, Spain. Yeah, I think it's going to be Spain, for sure.
And to kind of look at the overall tournament now that we have the group stages finished, I mean, you said Brazil were going to win. I said Germany were going to win. We won't go over that too many times more. But who do you think now in the round of 16 has kind of put themselves in good stead for that title?
England. England have got a nice little pathway to the final. And this is where you're kind of trusting in luck a little bit with the draw, and I think they've got a really nice pathway all the way to the final. I think the final will be the most difficult game for them, but I know they've just been playing so well. They don't look like they have weaknesses in the team. Like we've seen weaknesses in every team so far, and I think England are the ones that would stand out to say, as a manager, how would you play against them? That would be a difficult task, and try to pick those weaknesses. And I don't think that you can say that for the other teams. Maybe USA. I can't see a weakness just in general goal scoring, but to play against them, not sure they have like a major weakness. But England look really good, and they have the look of the draw. So
yeah, they really do. The side that they're on, like especially with the teams that have gone through, you can't see it being I mean, Nigeria is probably one of the most challenging games that they have to face, and that's like their round of 16 tie. And so who do you think possibly they will be facing in the final based on the other side of the draw?
I think it will probably be France. Are they on the same side? No, they're not. They don't have to come up against them till the final. Yeah, I can just see France. I can see France doing it. I don't think Spain. I think Spain have too many weaknesses in the back. Even if when Ivana comes back in, the centre back, nobody can lace Maria Leon's shoes or boots up. So that's a major weakness they have back there. I think it will be France coming through personally, even though they conceded 3 goals against Panama. I just think they have the quality players. So I think it's going to be an England-France final.
Speaking of England, we do have to give Lauren James a little bit of appreciation for that game that she played. I mean, the goals she was scoring, it didn't deserve to be chopped off in the end by VAR. I was like, this should be one of the things where there's a rule that says it's that lovely a goal that it should just be allowed to stand. And we talked a little bit on the podcast before about how we weren't sure how Wiegman would react or if she would bring her on as much, because say like Champions League, we maybe didn't see her in her top form, but she's been absolutely flying at this World Cup so far.
Yeah, she's just, I mean, she's so young, she's so talented. It's only a matter of time that, you see her qualities on the pitch. It just depends. It's all about consistency now for Lauren. And she's shown that in this World Cup. Like, she has the quality. She's absolutely brilliant. She plays off both feet. She's so balanced. She's quick. She's powerful. She can score goals, as you've seen there. The only thing that she needed to work on was her defensive contribution, and Emma Hayes has been relentless about that, and I think she's improved massively with that, and she knows that. And she's very humble. She understands what she needs to work on, which is great to hear her say it, because that's something that can be a bit of a fault in young players not realizing what they have to do. She knows what she has to do. She has that maturity. So it's about consistency for Lauren. And we're going to see now, when you play against the big teams, when you go deeper into this tournament, that's when the experienced player comes out. And I hope she does it, because there were so many question marks over her. Never doubted her quality, but I've played with players who have immense quality and capabilities, but never made it for one reason or another, whether it was their attitude, whether it was injuries, whether it was just not understanding the game, but she seems to have it all. So yeah, big player.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see what she does in the rest of the tournament and how the knockout stages go, considering how excellent the group stages were. Emma, thank you very much for all your brilliant knowledge as per usual. COYGIG Pod on OTB is brought to you by Cadbury, official snack partner to the Republic of Ireland women's national team. As I said, Ireland may be out, but we will be here for the rest of the tournament, providing all the different predictions, possibly very wrong ones considering some of the things that we've predicted so far, but it's all in the name of fun. And we will see you very, very soon. Thank you for listening.
The COYGIG Pod on OTB Sports, in association with Cadbury. A player and a half deserves a glass and a half of support.